the entire political media ecosystem is really organized around Trump. And Trump's just not engaged at all in this shutdown. My friend George Condon, who works over at National Journal, he's been there a long time, long enough that he and I were colleagues at National Journal before I left to go to NBC. He did some terrific analysis on sort of the lack of engagement by this president on the shutdown issue. And he compared it to the big shutdown that happened in his first term and how engaged he was in there. So I want to read a little bit from Condon's story here in National Journal this week. Since the current shutdown began on October 1, Condon writes, Trump has met in the Oval Office with the leaders of Canada and Finland. He's traveled to Israel and Egypt, and he's meeting this week with the presidents of Argentina and Ukraine. He has not met with any Democratic Party leaders. While the trip to Israel and Egypt made a lot of sense no matter what, it is worth noting that Trump is also planning later this month to go to Malaysia, South Korea, and Japan. These are more routine trips. They're meetings with these various international associations that the United States dabbles in, the Asia Pacific Economic Conference, APEC, it's known as, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. These are all places that the United States likes to be a part of. They're basically collections of Asian countries that want to put a check on China in some form or another. What's interesting is that these summits always take place around this time of year. And if we were in a government shutdown, both Bill Clinton, Barack Obama didn't go to these events if they were in the middle of a shutdown. Both of them thought it was a bad political look if they were continuing the business of the country overseas, spending money overseas while people weren't getting paid there. And Donald Trump himself, and this is where Condon did some terrific analysis, in the 35 days between December 22nd, 2018, and the reopening of the government on January 25th, 2019, Donald Trump tweeted back then, he was tweeting, there was no Truth Social. He hadn't been deplatformed from Twitter yet. He tweeted 37 times about the shutdown. And the post projected a mix of frustration and sense of urgency. That was the 35 days. So far, we've been in this shutdown for 14 days. Trump has posted only 7 times on the shutdown on Truth Social, and he's only posted twice since the second day. So 12 of those were in the first, essentially, 36 hours. But since then, he has posted 32 times on foreign policy, 16 times on the Middle East, 5 times on the Nobel Peace Prize, and 11 times on his grievances with the FBI, the Russia probe, and Jim Comey. It goes back to what I've said now for, 3 straight podcast openings, which is this is going nowhere until Democrats find a way to engage Trump. The congressional Republicans cannot negotiate without Trump in the room. They have no standing, right? Mike Johnson he cannot do this without Donald Trump. He has never been able to pass a vote without the help of Donald Trump among House Republicans. So there is, the only entity to negotiate with is the White House. And the fact that Democrats can't get Trump to engage, Trump doesn't want to engage, whatever it is, and again, I will say the same thing that I said 24 hours ago. Every day now that this goes is one day less that this becomes politically. I know that Democrats think they've won something out of this so far, and I think that I think it's clear that they've made healthcare a bit more front and center on the minds, and we're now seeing other reasons why healthcare. You're going to see the premium notices go out on November 1st. That will get some attention. It's why I think actually that the Democrats probably made a tactical mistake in triggering this shutdown when they did. I think they would have been better off triggering the shutdown after those premium hike notices went out on November 1st, not before. But the problem they have now is every day this goes on, more damage is done to the federal government. Russell Voigt fires more people, targets more blue areas. I want to get to that in a minute. And Democrats may start to lose sort of the momentum that they believe they were getting on the healthcare issue. Again, Democrats are terrible about declaring victory. They don't know how to ever act like they've won something when they're actually winning this argument. But the longer they go, they will lose whatever they've gained here. And you can kind of tell they're kind of flailing here. I don't think Schumer knows how to get Trump in the room. That's clearly a problem. Jeffries doesn't. So if they're the two lead negotiators here, it's in that sense, if you can't get in the room to negotiate with the person you have to negotiate, you're not doing a very good job leading here. So I don't think this is going to age well. We'll see. But again, Trump's not engaged. That's a huge issue.
There's a reason results matter more than promises. Just like there's a reason Morgan & Morgan has become America's largest injury law firm. For the last 35 years, they've recovered $25 billion for more than 500,000 clients. It includes cases where insurance companies offered next to nothing, short of shortchanging, seeing if they could get away with it. And Morgan & Morgan fought back, and they won millions. In Pennsylvania, one client was awarded $26 million. It was a staggering 40 times the amount that the insurance company originally offered. That offer, $650,000, whatever it took to sort of get away without paying. So with more than 1,000 lawyers across the country, Morgan & Morgan knows how to deliver for everyday people. So if you're injured, you're looking for a lawyer, check out forthepeople.com/ToddCast or dial pound law, pound 529 on your cell phone. And remember, all law firms are not the same. So give Morgan & Morgan a look. Their fee is free unless they win.
But I want to point out something, this sort of the way the Trump administration is targeting things and sort of how messed up their math is. So we've seen that Russell Voigt, OMB, he's trying to essentially cut programs or cancel funding or suspend funding, and it's targeting blue areas, right? They're targeting the Democratic agencies, the Democratic this. Prominent geographic areas they've targeted are, funding for things in and around LA County, funding for things in and around Chicago, and funding for things in and around New York. Well, one of the things I'd love to remind, and I just did a data deep dive on this. So Donald Trump received 1.189 million votes in LA County. Okay. Yes. Kamala Harris got 1.3 million more than him. Okay. It is a blue county. But the raw number of Republican votes that Donald Trump received in LA County, 1.189 million. That is more raw vote than he received in 15 states that he carried. Alaska, Arkansas, Idaho, Iowa, Kansas, Mississippi, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Utah, West Virginia, and Wyoming. There are more Trump voters that they're punishing in LA County than any of those 15 states that I talked about. This administration's inability to understand that they're supposed to be the president of the entire country, when they start nitpicking at quote unquote blue areas or blue states, they're punishing a lot of people that supported them, a lot of their own supporters who have, it comes across as if they have no respect for the system and no respect for some of their own voters. And by the way, in Cook County, he received over 580,000 votes. Well, in case you're wondering, that's more raw vote. All right. He got crushed in Cook County. It is a blue county, but his raw vote total was more than the raw votes he got out of Alaska, out of Idaho, out of Montana, out of Nebraska, out of North Dakota, out of South Dakota, out of Utah, and out of Wyoming. That's 8 states. It really is a bit self-defeating. And by the way, you want to add more states to that, he received over 800,000 votes in the 5 boroughs of New York City when you put that together. And that would mean more votes than what he got in Alaska, more votes than what he got in Kansas, more votes than what he got in Mississippi, more votes than what he got in West Virginia. So you see the point I'm making here. This sort of what they think the own the libs move is, right? They're just attacking hundreds of thousands of their own voters. Now, maybe they think, oh, well, this will teach those Trump voters from living in these blue areas, I guess, or maybe they're trying to punish the Democratic voters and get whatever they think they're accomplishing, they're not accomplishing with this.